couple of stories for you. Randomly, me and my wife were having this conversation this morning about actresses and different things they do to get attention, and we were just talking about Sydney Sweeney using what she had. That was it. It wasn't a big conversation. Somebody else who's been talking about Sydney Sweeney is Jared Moskowitz. Now, I need to put what's the expression? Cards on the table. We are huge, huge fans of Jared Moskowitz. I don't want to say anything which would make Jared Moskowitz have the wrong idea about us. Another confession, we've never actually ever asked anyone to do an interview. The only person we actually wanted to interview, well, there's two people. Well, three actually. Dan Goldman, Jasmine Crockett, and Jared Moskowitz. And unfortunately, we got a blank with all of them. I did get to speak to Jared's press person, who is a lovely person, but I don't know. Maybe it's because we're British, and I don't know. He doesn't want to talk to us, but Jared, we love everything you do. Now, the reason that Jared as well, so he put out this tweet, which is just President Biden. It's him reacting to seeing Marjorie Taylor Greene, but he's put it next to Sydney Sweeney. It is a joke. It's harmless. And I don't get this. This is the bit I do not get. Jared is a good politician. Yeah, he's not trying to be trendy. He's not trying to jump on something which is topical. He's just doing a natural reaction. This is something that the Dems cannot do. They can't fall into a trap where they're scared to be themselves. They have to be authentic. For me, one of the reasons why President Biden's State of the Union speech was so good, because it was the real person. He had nothing to hide. He was passionately speaking. He spoke about subjects which you can relate to. Medical situations, jobs, housing. He spoke passionately about what's going on in the Middle East and Ukraine. He spoke passionately about gun control. He was himself. It wasn't like, let's say the right thing to get somebody on Twitter to like us. Let's say the right thing to make sure it turns into a soundbite on cable news, which is what so many politicians do. It's like you get a loaf of bread, let's chop it up, we'll put that slice out there, we'll make sure these people react to it. What's that crazy guy, Squeaky Kennedy, who said some absolute garbage? 9 times out of 10, it is rubbish. But they are thinking, this is what we've got to say. It's fake. It's not real. Jared has just put out a tweet. I do not know who in his office asked him to delete it, because clearly he asked him to delete it. I suspect it's not even him who's also put out the apology. It was just a joke. That's what it is. It's not sexist. It's not derogatory. It's not insulting. It's the same sort of thing. I'm not going to put it. There's a Steph Curry picture, and there's a lady in the background who's got her top down. This is what goes on. These are normal things. There's no exploitation. It is just crazy that Jared Moskowitz, who I repeat, is such a good politician. This is no way anything derogative about Jared. He's a really good politician and should be allowed to express himself. I tend to think the people in his office, his handlers, the professional people who are paid, who are getting a salary from everything, they're not the ones who are knocking on the door. They're not the ones who are actually talking to the representatives. They're not the ones who put a face on anything Jared does. They are the ones who have done this crazy thing, told Jared to take a picture or take a tweet down. And what actually happens here, this is the silliest thing ever, and this is why I think politicians sometimes have to just ignore what's going on. I liken it to if you go near some airports, there's always an area you can stand where a plane will come over really loud. And for that moment, while the plane is over your head, it's an intense situation. You could be with a psychiatrist and they would tell you the same. That moment, those seconds while the plane is loud, the engines are making this over you, will be loud, but it goes away. Right? This is what happens when you put maybe something out which somebody in your office doesn't like. It goes away. By Saturday, the subject would have gone away. But instead, what's happened now... Jared Moskowitz, the whole Sydney Sweeney thing is there. It's being discussed. Now, some would say, well, as long as you get Jared's name right, it's good PR. I personally think it should be left alone. And for me, the fact that Jared was made to, and he was made to, somebody somewhere said, don't do that. It's a meme. We need humour. The one thing that I loved about President Biden's State of the Union speech, you know, they always say, oh, he's a sleepy Joe. He was awake. He really was awake. And no, the narrative they're now trying to put along is that he's on some level of the sort of stuff that apparently Don Trump Jr. likes a lot of. No. That's it. There's nothing there. There is no story. So I would just say to, and I don't think they like me anyway, I don't know why, but to those in Jared Moskowitz's office, let him do what he does. He's doing a really good job. If he wants to put a meme out, what is offensive about this meme? That's the bit. What is offensive? Joe Biden reacting to Marjorie Taylor Greene, just owning her. Sydney Sweeney, a moment from SNL. Both moments have been shared significantly on social media.
And we're just asking our Republican colleagues to stop the political stunts. That was an embarrassment last night. A complete embarrassment. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's basically running the House Republican Conference, shows up in campaign paraphernalia. And then these people want to lecture Joe Biden because he delivered a strong and forceful speech that made them uncomfortable because he exposed their lies and shamelessness. We have one message for extreme MAGA Republicans who want to lecture us about decorum. Get lost. You're a joke. Exhibit A, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Exhibit B, George Santos.
In a world where qualifications are often measured by titles and years of experience, we are reminded of a powerful truth. God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Laura Trump is the embodiment of this truth. Her journey is a
I think what they're trying to do is to preserve their political futures, actually. It's kind of shocking to me, but look, people want to, what they're trying to be is a good old Republican, that at the end I'll throw in and support them. The price was too high for me to do that. I just disagreed so strongly with what I saw in the early days of the divisive rhetoric that he brought about. And then Sununu was right there, but I think Sununu's trying to preserve an option for him politically, because if you don't support the nominee, they'll always come back and attack you. You may not win in a primary. But the question everyone has to ask, is it worth the price? I mean, is it really worth the price to have to support him when you've been attacking him for so long? And so now all of a sudden it's okay. I mean, everybody's got to decide. But for me, it was a bridge too far. And I knew it was a problem when I didn't endorse him. I knew it would hurt me in the Republican Party. That's the price you pay. Life's short. Politics is quick. Make a mark.
Thanks, everyone. I gotta go.
Thanks, everybody.
Are you Trump's meeting with Viktor Orban and continues to do so?
Well, I'm not. You should be.
What's the latest?
So what? So what? As we head to election 2024, is it now going to be the case that every single tweet from anybody who's a Democrat is going to be checked? Is going to be make sure it ticks all the right boxes, right? Because the Republicans aren't doing that. The Republicans don't care. They'll put out anything. It can be a lie. It can be bullshit. They'll put it out. They'll echo chamber it. The Dems have got to play on the level field that Biden set out yesterday in the real world. Because if not, how the hell is it that this is almost like, well, Marjorie Taylor Greene might say something that might make us look like it would have been ignored. Now over 100,000 people have seen the tweet. Literally, because some clever person who doesn't understand the significance of this coming election. Do you understand, whoever it is in Moskowitz's office, do you understand the importance of this election? When you have people like Liz Cheney is by no means a Democrat. Time and time again, you are seeing Republicans saying this is about the Constitution, this is about the freedom of America, this is about being fair. This is so many things that are more important, and one person in Jared Moskowitz's office is now literally turned the attention away, played right into the Republicans. That's the area they want. And the reason I'm saying this is because nobody else will say it. Okay? I'm a Brit on the outside looking in. Excuse the expression. It's like when I was talking about the Super Bowl to the guy, actually, if you must know, does the fish in the supermarket where I go. And he said to me, the Chiefs saw the other team, the 49ers. he said to me, and I said, actually, I don't really know. We started talking about it, because they don't know that much about NFL. No skin in the game. I don't have a vote, but I do see one thing. This is the most important thing. I'll give you the final story. So at the school my son goes to, one of my son's friends' dad is a surgeon. And dropped my son off at school today, and I said, oh, how's your evening been? What are you up to? I said, oh, I've just been making some jokes about what's going on. I said, what did you do? He said, oh, well, I saved 2 lives. He didn't actually say those words, but, he did a very serious 2 lung operations. And I said, here you are. You're doing something serious, and I'm out making jokes. And he made a very, very good point. He said, the sickest person, as in when they're ill, one of the best tonics they can have is to smile and to have a laugh, which is what Jared Moskowitz done. It was just a smile. It was innocent. Again, it wasn't derogative. It wasn't sexist. It was just clean and healthy. And all this clever person who works in Moskowitz's office, it's just, you've destroyed a moment of pure innocence. Go and work for the Republicans because you're playing their game. Thoughts?